Hello and welcome to the Brain Software Podcast, coming to you from just east of the Hypnotic World Epicenter, Toronto, Canada. This is episode 139, and I'm Mike Mandel. Today, I'll be interviewing my best friend, the CEO of Mike Mandel Hypnosis, Chris Thompson, and he'll unpack the personal development lessons that he's learned so you too can have an amazingly successful life. So stay tuned.
Hey man, I'm sitting in the middle of the CERN Atavachron. It's kind of spooky waiting for the Large Hadron Collider to gear up and go online. I paid nearly $1 trillion for this opportunity. I'm hoping I'll get launched into a future reality where I get the bread to come back and pay these peckers. The thing is, CERN was built by the Shizjig Corporation, so there's not a single ant here, Scroll.
Okay, it sounds like we're going online.
So I better get ready, Pouch. But let's ask the damn question. What the hell ever occurred to take away that sense of relaxation we were all originally aware of?
These are days of victory! So join me in welcoming to the captain's chair of Hypno East, the world's foremost Tesla driver, the Warren Buffett of hypnosis, our favorite science geek, and the man who's obsessed with the fact that this isn't a grain elevator, Chris Thompson!
Hey, Mike, it is great to be back. Episode
Yeah,
139, and if we're on schedule, this is going out in December, but we're recording it 2 days before Halloween, which is always fun, isn't it?
And we have a Halloween treat for this program,
Yeah,
but we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to that in a minute. But
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk. This is going to be a great episode where I provided a bunch of notes, just some stuff that I wrote down into a Google Doc the other day, just things that I've learned. Funny enough, many of them I've learned from you, and some of them I've learned from my parents. I had them over for dinner on the weekend. I was telling my mom and my dad that, hey, I've got a bunch of really cool stuff that was partly inspired by you guys, and they were really happy to hear.
Oh, that's
that.
nice.
So
Yeah, you
always
got
cool.
Great parents, man.
And these are days of victory.
Must be
buddy.
nice that your parents aren't dead.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. No, and not yet.
First death reference for Halloween.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we want to mention a couple of things. So before we get going with this podcast, let's make sure you know that in April, so it's December right now, there are no live classes that we are teaching until April. We're taking the entire winter off to get stuff done.
Well,
right?
to shovel snow.
Yeah, shovel snow, exactly, and drink hot chocolate, maybe. Not,
And
not
maybe
with
something
sugar.
else.
Anyway, the April is going to be the next return to the Toronto classroom, and we have Bob Burns coming in from Scotland, and he's going to be teaching all kinds of awesome stuff, including, I'm sure, the Swan Protocol, and he's going to make a full weekend out of it. He was heavily recommended by so many people, so we're bringing Bob Burns in on April 25th and 26th. It will be on our events page, mikemandelhypnosis.com/events. Now, the timing is perfect for those of you traveling into Toronto, because we are also running our 5-day flagship training, the architecture of hypnosis, the Monday to Friday prior to Bob Burns. So the 20th through 24th of April, architecture of hypnosis, Mike and I in Toronto, 5 days of awesomeness, and then stick around for Bob Burns and have 7 days of just tremendous hypnosis training.
Right on. And those of you listening, if you're planning on attending and doing a training with us at some point, the April Architecture of Hypnosis would be a great one to attend. You got 6 months to get ready for it. You can get your finances in order. You can book your flight, your hotel. You can get the time off work. Come and hang with Chris and I for 5 solid days in Toronto. We will have an absolute blast with some of the best students you'll ever meet in your life, some of your new best friends. Check out AOH.
Awesome. Okay, so what is next?
Oh, I wanted to mention, Chris, we got a nice email from a nurse disagreeing with our way of treating alcoholism and basically saying that you can't fault the 12-step model that almost everybody is using. And until we get results like AOH, like AA gets, we shouldn't be sort of doing anything different. And I said, you're free to disagree with us. It was a very nicely worded email, but I still disagree completely. I don't like the idea of framing oneself as an alcoholic every day, working at the level of identity. I'm still working on the premise that my mentor Derek Balmer gave me, that it is better to turn alcoholics by and large, help them become social drinkers instead of setting up a pressure cooker. I don't think it's a good idea to continuously be going to groups and saying I'm an alcoholic, once or twice a week. Some people go to meetings several times a week. Derek said, and I'm just quoting him, he said that substitutes one addiction for another.
I completely agree with you. The idea of putting it at the level of identity is inferior to putting it at the level of it's
behavior.
A behavior. It's something that you do. Now, it's up to the person being treated to decide if they would like to just stop doing that altogether or do it less often or less
language police, less frequently.
Less frequently, or just drink less amount of alcohol when they are drinking.
Right.
Be more of a in control social drinker. This is the kind of thing we see all the time. There is really no value in assigning rules that are so strict that you are an alcoholic and can never drink again. You have a disease. No, you have a pattern that is probably triggered by anxiety, which is driving a certain craving and is driving a behavior. And if we fix that, then
goes
guess
away.
what? You're in control again.
And again, I'm saying that we get a lot of our information. I get it from Derek, my mentor, and we get a lot from Melissa Tiers, who is an expert on dealing with addiction. We took her addiction protocol class, her training for a weekend, and she said 90% of cocaine addicts just give up
quit
on their own. And this is statistics. So you're free to disagree with me. I do appreciate your email. I'm in no way denigrating what you're saying, but our experience has been quite different. And we believe in the ego state model that any kind of addiction is an attempt to keep evaded ego state from the executive. And when my mom and dad died close together, 2 years apart, I went off the rails drinking. I mean, I really did. And then it got worse because I bonded with my wife's parents, who were lovely people. They died 3 months apart. I felt like I lost my parents twice. And I went off the rails drinking again. And people were saying, you're an alcoholic, and all this stuff. But guess what? All I was doing was self-medicating so that wounded ego state would not become executive. And once that ego state dealt with the grief of losing 2 sets of parents, the problem disappeared.
So what I hear you saying, Mike, is that there are some people who would say that you're an alcoholic.
Well, there's some people I would say that you're in sample.
Oh, man. Okay.
I mean, we're going back to 30 years here. It's incredible.
I know. Listen, we have to make life fun, folks, right? So even though we're talking about a serious topic, you're going to hear us. If you're new to our podcast, we are going to joke around a lot about some very serious stuff.
Dorothy Parker, the British author who was brilliant, said, life is miserable. Life is bad enough without being bloody miserable on top of it.
Oh, there you go.
And my theory, Chris, is if you cannot laugh at serious things, how will you ever learn to laugh at funny things?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. All right. Do we have some think tank words of the day?
Well, we do,
here?
buddy. I've got them here. But first, I want to talk about Halloween because I want to cue what we're going to do here.
Since we were just laughing.
Many years ago, my friend at the time, Mike Smith, who went on to become a psychologist, really smart guy. He and I did this experiment, and I probably mentioned this on a podcast, but we're going to do it in this podcast to give you the example.
You haven't mentioned this at least, I would say,
Not for a
2
long
years.
time, yeah. And it's the laughter game. Now, I collected laughs for a while. My wife's cousin Jeff laughs like this.
That's horrible.
Some people, like Brian Strange, who I hung out with in high school, he put an entire laugh into one single syllable burst. He'd say something hilarious, and he'd just go, that was it. My Uncle Phil did the guinea pig laugh, which is what I got it from. And so Mike and I were trying to we like the scary laugh from the horror movies. Start with your lips together, making an M sound, and then open it into a wah. But we used to have a contest, and it was $5. And the idea, that was a lot of money then. We're making $100 a week. And we'd go out for supper at, a steak restaurant and have like chopped steak and fries and everything afterwards. And one guy would make the signal, you had to do the laughter now. And the rule is every time you laugh, you have to do that laugh. You can laugh as much as you want, but it has to be the insane psycho laugh.
Even if you
or
start
you pay
with
the
a
other guy.
normal laugh,
Even if you
have
start
to
normal, you turn
transition
it into that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to give the guy $5. And we're sitting in this restaurant, and I gave the sign. I can't remember what it was that we're doing this laugh.
Start sign.
Yeah, and he's ordering his food. And he sees me looking around his menu at him, and he's saying, he was Scottish, I'll have the steak and I'll have the...
And then you're peeking around.
And the waitress looks at him like there's something wrong with him, which if he realizes she's looking at him like he's insane, and he goes,
now it's even funnier.
Which of course makes me laugh, and I'm going, the two of us are laughing like we're both Vincent Price or,
You're not
Boris
allowed to
Karloff.
explain this, right?
No, you can't explain it. and it's hilarious. I think we should do it at lunch today, but we're going to start doing it here.
On this podcast.
Here's the sign. Here's the laughter sign. It's the karate chop down.
Karate chop down.
Okay.
Have you done it?
I've done it. It started now. So we're allowed to laugh, but it has to be that. Okay, and that's in honor of Halloween in 2 days.
You folks listening, you're in for a treat.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You're trying to make me laugh already, I know. So let's go to you passed. You got me. Let's go to the think tank words of the day.
Think tank words. I was on the verge of laughing there.
Our past.
This is so hard.
Premeditation. As the actor said to the bishop. Premeditation.
Past.
Premeditation and resource. Now, honestly, these are randomly generated, even resource, which is kind of interesting. So, you want to...
well, past... Geez, premeditation and past. I'm looking for ways to connect those two right now in my mind.
Well, go with the first one. What jumps out when you say past?
The past. It's just exactly what it is. Things that have passed. So if something's over, let it be freaking over. You don't need to keep going back to all the crap that happened. And if something it was awesome in your past, you can look at that as something as a resource for you to draw on and do it again.
Beautiful.
Something was awesome, do it again.
Yeah, or revisit the memory of it where the resources are. And of course, the past is where a lot of problems are. I'm trying to figure how premeditation fits into this. I can hear this a couple of ways. I can hear premeditated murder.
What about in the premeditation sense of the present tense right now? We can decide.
You're banging the table. You told me not to do that.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. So we can decide right now, which means it's in the past in a moment, that we are going to revisit past awesome situations and do those again and re-experience them and bring up awesome resources and leave old baggage behind.
In fact, I think, that's great. And I think all our resources are in the past.
I think they are.
Because as soon as we're aware of them, it's because we already had them.
Yes, that's right. It's sort of like saying, this is a picture of me when I was younger.
Yeah, they all are.
They all are.
Yeah, Stephen Wright. That's good. I heard a really creepy one, a comic. Someone said, do you want to see some pictures of my kids? And he held his own phone out. He said, no, I've already got some.
Oh!
Isn't that creepy? All right.
That is really weird.
Horrible.
All right.
Okay.
We're going to get on
today
to...
I get to do all the running the show here
Mike
today.
is running the show. I'm the CEO, but today I get to sit back.
The underling runs the show.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the personal development lessons from the life of Chris Thompson. And, buddy, you have an interesting background, engineering degree, MBA, jiu-jitsu black belt.
Do you want me to give a moment on just the variety of things?
Yeah, because that's a good foundation for this, and it enables me to just sit and drink coffee.
Yeah, of course. So I think as a lot of kids did, I started my first job.
Boring.
Scary? Do you think I was going to go into a whole... I was a 15-year-old burger flipper at McDonald's. When I was 16, I became trained as a lifeguard. I really loved that whole side of working as a lifeguard. I was working in a skilled job. You had to have particular training. Did that all through university where I was trained as a mechanical engineer. When I graduated engineering, I'd already studied hypnosis, not through you or formally, just books and hobby and stuff, because I had, of course, seen you through university. My first professional job was in the fiber optics telecommunications industry.
Oh, I forgot you did that.
Yeah, as an engineer. I did that for a year before I moved on to another company where, at the time, my first job, my salary was $32,000 a year.
Wow.
And I left a year later for $44,000 a year at a different company.
Yeah.
A company called Nortel, if anyone happens to remember.
I remember Nortel.
Back in Ottawa. It was a huge employer in the Ottawa scene in Canada.
Didn't they tank big time?
Oh, yeah, they're gone. They went bankrupt. They sold off in pieces. Fantastic experience, though. I worked there for about 4.5 years, at which point I had been doing my MBA in night school, specializing in finance, got really interested in the stock market and telecom and technology investing, ended up meeting the right people, getting connected to the Bay Street scene, became a stock analyst on Bay Street around 2000, right? When the market crashed. And this is the kind of industry where it's natural for you to lose your job every few years. And somehow I went...
That's not a lot of fun.
Somehow I went 11 years...
Did you just laugh?
I don't know.
Okay, be careful. Yeah,
just to cover up. I owe you money now. I worked in that job 11 years as a stock analyst before essentially walking into my boss's office and asking that he let me go. And I designed an intervention to get fired.
I remember helping you with that.
Essentially, yeah, I approached you and said, Mike, we didn't even know each other that well at the time, but well enough. And we were working together, but we weren't yet.
We were
best
friends.
friends.
We were just barely acquaintances. You know,
But wow. Anyway, all of that. And then I moved on into this entrepreneurial side of my life because I was inspired by Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek.
Mm-hmm.
I had begun in around 2008 building MikeMandelHypnosis.com. And so
Right.
through that time, have fully evolved into entrepreneur, hypnotist, trainer, all
kidding.
that stuff. So
you also
lots of
wrote
cool stuff.
for the Globe and Mail, Canada's national newspaper.
Yeah, for a few years, yeah.
You did it all. Like, here's how much simpler mine is, Chris.
Yeah.
Delivered the Toronto Star, defunct newspaper.
Yeah.
Had a job at a burger chain working on the counter.
Is it
saying, do you want
bankrupt now,
fries
too?
with that? It is.
Oh.
Both the
I'm
Star
sensing
and the
sensing a
burger,
cause and effect.
the Red Barn and the Toronto Star, both
Mm-hmm.
defunct. Then worked for Bell Canada as a telephone operator in
Mm-hmm.
an office with 150 women, which was awesome.
Okay, they are not bankrupt, so
Right, they're
my
doing okay.
cause and effect model
And then
here is now
became a
destroyed.
hypnotist.
Okay.
And that's pretty well where I am now.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. But again, entrepreneurial path. You decided you wanted to work for yourself. I decided that too. The funny thing is, my dad used to tell me, "Oh, I think you'd make a really great CEO, Chris." And I thought at the time that meant having to be in a real company, like a big company, you know,
Right.
being the boss of a lot of people. That
No,
just
you're just
didn't
the boss
seem
of me.
appealing. We're the boss. We're the boss of each other. We fire each other and we hire
regularly.
each other. But it is interesting because in a sense, I operate as a CEO of this business because I'm in charge of so many things with regard to project planning and marketing and finance and whatever it is. But we're not a big company. We only have you and I and a few other people helping us out with things.
Yeah, a few other
And I
people.
like it that way.
Yeah.
My lifestyle is better. So, yes, I've been through a lot of different stuff. Anyway, let's move
But
on
you
from
found
there.
you found lessons of life. But this podcast, Brain Software, is about hypnosis, NLP, and personal development. So this podcast today fits securely and glanatively in the personal development
I hope so,
wing
yeah.
of things. So start us off, buddy. What have you got for us?
Okay, the first thing that is on our notes here, at least, and you feel free to jump around because
I
there's
will.
more than we can
I
possibly
will.
cover. I think it's really important to know your personal risk tolerance.
What do you mean by that?
Well, this originally came out of the business building side of things, but I think risk can be time, money, it can be relationships. Like if you're going to take a certain action that could risk damaging a relationship, you have to think about what is your risk tolerance. Am I willing to have this go to zero, whatever this is? And I remember many years ago, I was having lunch with the CEO of a reasonably sized, what we call a small cap company. It was probably worth a few $100 million, which sounds huge, but in the world of the stock market, that's a tiny company. But this awesome Italian CEO, and he said
Is
to
it
me,
relevant that he's Italian?
no, just that he was just cool guy.
Okay.
I really looked up to this guy. He was
watching
an
out for this.
action taker, and I won't mention names or anything because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm bringing their story into this podcast. But
Yeah.
he told me that the chairman of his board of directors said to him once that the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who can jump out of a plane and build his parachute on the way down.
Ooh.
And I thought, well, that's kind of cool, but
Great
that
metaphor.
doesn't resonate with me because this is a fellow, like many other entrepreneurs, he built a business by essentially taking out a second mortgage on his house, getting all of his core employees to do the same. They worked their asses off. They took essentially minimalist salaries for something like 2 years.
Okay.
If this hadn't worked out, they're all financially destitute.
Yeah.
Very bad situation. And he had at the time young kids. Now, it worked out and he was sure. And I respect that. That
Mm-hmm.
attitude of it's going to bloody well work. I'm going to make it work. That's the kind of risk. It's the burn the ships kind of mentality,
Sure,
right?
Cortez.
There is nothing left. Like if
Cortez
this doesn't
burned
work,
the ships when they reached the New World, so they couldn't go back. There
yeah,
was no,
if it doesn't
no way
work,
back.
we are stuck. So they made it work, and you know what? They
I
sold.
burned your Tesla in the driveway when they came down here.
These guys ended up selling their company for a lot more money than they went public being worth, and it was a fantastic outcome for all.
So
of
how
them.
does that fit
But
into
for
knowing your
me-
risk tolerance, Ken?
So for me, I am not willing to do something that is going to completely screw up my financial situation if it doesn't go right.
Yeah.
So in my personal situation, I started a business on the side. I had a job as a stock analyst while I was building up my business talkingtotoddlers.com, which is still alive now. I haven't made it go bankrupt. I almost. And we're working, of course, in our business here at MikeMandelHypnosis.com, which is where I spend the vast majority of my time
Neglecting
in the work
the family.
world. I only spend my work time really in this business right now, which I think a side lesson is the power of consolidating your effort into the things that you care about most.
So we're back to Pareto's principle here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Investing most of your time, 80% of your time, in the 20% of things that are most important.
Years ago, as you remember, when we were building this business, I had lots of other side projects on the go. And I thought, oh, well, when I only help, get this MMH business running smoothly, then I'll be able to invest more time in these other projects. And what I quickly discovered is I didn't want to. I wanted to spend more time working on our business because it was more fun. We had each other to motivate each other.
Yep.
And it was better than being a solopreneur.
Solopreneur, is that a real term?
Yeah,
Wow.
like basically a solo entrepreneur, right? Solopreneur is the term.
Yeah.
I thought that it
Sounds
was
like an
much more
illness.
fun to have a partner to talk about ideas and to divide up responsibilities and to motivate each other. So really, it's about know your risk tolerance. If you want to do something different than you're doing now and you feel like, well, I just don't have time, just start slowly. We always talk about this concept of baby steps on the podcast.
Yep.
Do that. If you're a hypnotherapist or you're thinking of becoming one and you don't really have a good website yet or clients or anything like that, just take small steps into it. You don't have to leave your current paying job. You might love the job you have. Know your risk tolerance.
Nice. That's nice. Now I'm going to jump ahead here to be an architect of emotions.
Okay,
this is sounding intriguing.
Yeah, this one really comes out of two areas.
Freddie
From
Jacquin.
Hypnosis.
Yeah.
Right. Freddie Jacquin and Mike Mandel.
Oh, thanks.
So starting with Mike Mandel, remember when you redesigned the 5-day hypnosis class, you decided that you wanted to call it the architecture of hypnosis.
Yes, I woke up and it was just a mind-blowing thing. I woke up because I'd been studying Gothic architecture, cathedral architecture, and I woke up and thought I could see a hypnosis training that was based on the structure of a Gothic cathedral.
Right. You have to have a foundation.
Hence the name.
Then you have to
Yeah.
build whatever
Build the
structure
columns,
is around
yes,
it.
and finally you end up with the stained glass windows,
Right.
which are the
All
magic
the fancy
of hypnosis.
stuff at the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that I like that metaphor of architecting things. And on top of that, we started to get to know Freddie Jacquin pretty well. And he has this wonderful expression that hypnosis is simple. Create an emotion and give a suggestion. And I thought, well, that's really nice. I mean, it's a model. All models are as useful as, I don't know, I was going to give it tautology there, but it's a model that not everyone will agree with, but I love it in many ways. That is simple as create an emotion, which essentially can bypass that critical faculty, and give a suggestion, which will more likely be accepted by the unconscious mind. And if you think of yourself as an architect of emotions, that's basically saying, hey, we're all hypnotists, and our job is to architect emotions in
I'm
ourselves.
really liking this. I'm getting a sense of this. That's really good. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I get it. I never thought of this in terms of architecting emotions. That's in relationships. It's in everything.
It's everything. If
Yeah.
I think about my kids are having breakfast before they go off to school in the morning and they're starting to have some sort of fight, if I want to have an effect on that, I have to architect a different emotion in them, right? Or in myself. If I catch myself getting pissed off at something that's going on, maybe somebody's not listening to what I told them they need to be doing. Well, getting angry and yelling at people doesn't typically work very well. So
Right.
how can I architect an emotion in someone else of being interested in doing a much better job and improving, whatever it is?
That's nice. That's nice. Yeah. Otherwise, life is flat.
So think of yourself as an architect of emotions in yourself and in others.
Now, I'm looking at your notes here for the next one, and I know it must be adding a letter that shouldn't be there. Figure out what you want and what it will do for your period.
Oh, for your life. Yeah, what it'll do for your life is probably what I meant to write. Well, a lot of people just think about, I know when I was young and I was just graduating university and stuff, I thought a lot about money. Money. That was always on my mind. How can I invest?
Yeah, we were concerned about
How
that.
can I invest my money in the stock market? I learned, I want to credit themotleyfool.com when I was in my 20s. That's when I started learning about investing. And I really learned the idea about long-term investing index investing or whatever style of investing you want to do, but don't be an active trader and waste your money because the pros are going to beat your pants every single time. Buy good stuff and hold it forever. So
See, that's why I called you the Warren Buffett of hypnosis.
yeah, and in this case, it was like, well, that was my focus. I just wanted to make sure that when I got older, I would be wealthy enough to do what I want to do.
Which you've done now. You're older
Well,
at
I think
45.
I'm definitely older now, and I'm definitely wealthier than I was in my 20s. And most people would say I've been quite financially successful.
Well, you
and all
certainly
that.
have.
But here's what I realized.
Fleet of Teslas.
At that time in my life, I was applying everything that I'd learned about personal development and things like that to money, the concept of money.
Right.
And it is not, understand me clearly, folks, it's not the answer. There's plenty of really rich people that are depressed, that are unhappy.
Yep.
It is not the answer. There is, I'm sure, some truth to the fact that I've heard this study mentioned repeatedly in my life, that something to the effect of once your income passes something like $75,000 a year, there's a flatlining effect of your satisfaction. So there's a relationship between income and happiness that begins to really flatline after that supposed $75,000 a year threshold. Adjust it per your country, whatever it is. And I think that's true. You know, if I was making $1 million a year, it's not gonna 10x
It's not going to dramatically transform your life, although you would buy a third Tesla.
Who knows? But no, let's say I was making $100,000 a year, making $1 million a year is not going to make me 10 times happier. I've still got the same relationships and possibly problems in those. I've still got the same hopes and dreams. The only thing that money unlocks is that it gives you the freedom to do more stuff.
An idea backed by confidence, L. Ron Hubbard. Now, I have a question for you, and we don't want this to turn into a financial podcast. So we need to be careful.
Anyway, figure out to wrap up on that point, though, figure out what you want, because it probably isn't just money.
Good, that's nice.
What is it really? Ask yourself that.
Close that Zygarnik loop. Nice one. My question, though, is sort of related. If you are indeed the Warren Buffett of hypnosis, does that make me the Charlie Munger of hypnosis?
I think it could be, yeah. Okay. And you know that Charlie Munger is older than Warren Buffett.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's about 94 or something, isn't he? Yeah.
So this makes sense because you're older than me.
Yeah.
All right.
And you're more successful than me. Because Warren Buffett's got his 80 billion and Charlie Munger's only got $1 billion.
Oh, there you go.
I wouldn't mind having $1 billion despite all your talk about money. Anyway, let's get on. Create fun personal challenges.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I want to mention this one. Create fun personal challenges. So when you know what you want, I think that I probably came up with this idea right after the previous point of know what you want. If you know what you want, create a fun personal challenge, because challenges suck if you're not actually interested in the outcome or the process of doing them. If you like to work out, and I put that in parentheses here, workouts, for example. If you like to work out, then you can create a fun personal challenge around accomplishing some sort of feat in the gym or in a marathon or a whatever 5K race you're trying to do. I had set up some fun personal challenges like reading 100 books. Now, I didn't give myself a time frame, and I'm still probably way behind on it, but it made the idea of reading every night more fun, because I had this idea that, okay, well, I'm going to read 100 books over probably going to take me 2 years, and so I'm going to start making that list of books. Now, I'm excited about, hey, I'm going to order this new book off Amazon that's going to be next on my list, and I'm waiting for it to
you have a pending stack.
Exactly. Yeah. Or a fun personal challenge around the idea of being able to accomplish a certain feat in the gym. Like I'm working really hard on holding a freestanding handstand.
Yeah, and then you're going to Cirque du Soleil when you're 48.
It's difficult, but man, Mike, I've been taking baby steps and practicing this, and my handstands are coming along. They're not flawless yet, but I really enjoy the process.
Now that's good. This is the antithesis of Homer Simpson saying, "If it isn't fun, it's not worth doing." Yeah. If it isn't easy, it's not worth doing.
If it isn't easy,
everybody has different personal challenges. Our friend Adam, a challenge. His challenge is probably getting through life without going to the electric chair. All right. Now, for me, the challenge, Chris, is at my advanced age to continuously get better and better at hypnosis, to be more knowledgeable on the subject, the history, the ins and outs of every aspect of it, the medical hypnosis, the hypnoanalysis, everything, to continuously get better at hypnosis and knowledge of hypnosis. That's the challenge I like. Yeah. Because it's an open loop. It will never close.
So what else are you interested in these days, though? What are some personal challenges that you...
Don't even ask me. It's going to sound stupid.
All right.
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Okay. Backgammon.
Oh, yeah, you love
I'm
backgammon.
obsessed with backgammon. I played a game against an Israeli girl last night for 20,000 coins, and virtual money. Yeah, and it was a tough game. We played in Athens Greece board, and I just annihilated her by the end of it. It's
Can I tell you're an 8? Enneagram 8.
I make incisions.
Doesn't want anyone to be better at hypnosis than him.
Oh no, I don't mind. There's people. Freddie Jacqueline's a better hypnotherapist than I am. He's done way more of it than I have.
Yeah.
But I like to think of myself as the consummate generalist.
Yeah.
All aspects of it.
All right.
Now,
so there's
we're still talking
fun
about me.
Personal challenges. I know. I was going to ask you what other personal.
What about understanding? Here's one you got. I love.
Okay.
Understand the power of the story. Here's the key words.
Oh, this is good.
You tell yourself.
Yeah, there's actually 2.
Brilliant.
There's 2. We're going to go on to the next one right after it.
Yeah, that's
so
good point.
I really learned this from you, I would say. That
bravo.
I think I learned it from you.
You did.
Probably
It was
supplemented through lots of other learnings. But you really need to understand the story that you are telling yourself about you, about your life.
Yeah.
Remember when you first started introducing Dilt's logical levels model, and I was behind the camera filming our MMHA, Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy video lessons. Wow, I mean, that blew my mind, that model. Holy crap, this level of environment where you're blaming the world.
Life is happening
things
to you.
Just are, we are at effect. Oh, I'm just, blah, blah, blah. Things are just bad. People never treat me fairly. Kids do this a lot when they're growing up because they haven't learned that life's just, something you have to take charge of. Yeah. So what story are you telling yourself? Now, the very first thing we brought up at the beginning of the podcast was the email from the nurse. If you tell yourself the story, I am an alcoholic, guess what? You're going to make that your reality. Your reticular activating system is going to be firing that off.
Yeah.
So tell yourself really compelling stories about yourself and about your dreams and about the people that you're hanging around with. Don't
about
lie
other
to
people.
yourself.
That's a huge one.
Don't lie to yourself, but give people chances. And
But I agree with that, because one of the things dealing with this with other people is I always tell myself that everybody has value. I may not see it right away. They might be annoying, but everybody has that diamond in the rough. We just sometimes have to look for it.
Yeah.
And that's served me well, that belief.
Okay, there's another one here.
That's why I hang out with you.
There's nice.
That's brilliant.
There's another one here that goes along with it, and this is something I really just thought about this a couple of weeks ago, Mike.
I'm still trying not to laugh.
I know you are. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Try harder.
Shut up.
Yeah. All right. Know what story you want others to tell themselves about you. Because if you think about the way you're behaving in a situation, this was inspired by somebody that I am very close to and was having a personal conversation with. And I realized that this person was not aware of what stories people were saying about her.
Okay.
And so that caused me to think, it's a really important personal development skill. Understand what you want people to be telling themselves about you. That will probably shape your behavior in some ways. When you're honest with yourself and you realize, you know what, I want to be seen as charismatic, but I have this behavior, whatever it is, we'll call it X.
Yes, putting everybody off.
That doesn't really support that story I want people to be telling themselves about me. So, I'm going to change. It'll help. Just ask yourself that question and see what answers you get and see how it changes your behavior.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. It's really interesting because remember, and this is something I've found very useful, people will like you based on how you make them feel about themselves.
Yeah.
It's not this nonsensical narcissistic view of trying to build ourselves up and, oh, I did this and I'm this and I'm this. Nobody cares. Everybody's competitive in some way. People will like you not based on how you are, but how you make them feel about themselves when they are in your presence.
Yeah.
And
magic to rapport.
Yeah, it is. And I don't like flattery. Flattery is insincere and so on. But because I honestly compliment people, male and female, when I think they deserve it, like I'll just see a woman in the store and say, that hat really suits you. It looks beautiful. People light up because they sense it's real.
They do.
Give people honest compliments. And that is a tremendous way of building bridges.
Quick side note here. A few years ago, I don't know how many, a number of years ago, to borrow your expression. I love how you say that a lot.
Do I?
That's
a
compliment.
got me paranoid.
I was uncomfortable when people would compliment me on something. I would kind of nervously laugh Like I wasn't
Would you
really
laugh
sure
like-
how. No, it didn't. Well, that would be funny. Hey, Chris, that shirt looks really great on you. Thank you. Oh, I just realized though that if I want to pay somebody a compliment, it's because I mean it and I want them to feel good. And the same thing with giving gifts, by the way. If I give somebody a gift, I am giving that person a gift because I want them to feel appreciated in some way or to whatever it is. So in return, if somebody's paying me a compliment or offering me a gift, I should realize that they want me to feel good about myself. And I should accept it and say, hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Now, you're
and
really
that's my
on-
default response now.
That's a good one. And I read the psychology of gift giving and doing things for people. And one of the worst things we can do is, oh, no, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't need.
Permit
what
them
it does,
to do.
Yes, permitting people to honor you with a gift or buying your supper or something raises you in their status, in their mind, because they now see you as someone who is worthy of being. It's all backwards. It was Benjamin Franklin, the American statesman, Freemason, kite flyer, who first talked about this. And if we want people to treat us well, if we want people to like us, they have to treat us well. It's the opposite of what you think. If you like me, you'll treat me well. No, if you treat me well and I permit that, then you'll like me.
It comes back to
You really like me. Scary thing about Sally Fields.
Everything that assumes X causes X. We say this in hypnosis all the time. Anything that assumes trance causes trance.
Clark Hall, 1933.
But
Hypnosis and
I have
Suggestibility.
many times said to you this, right? I think this applies to so many other things. It's like a cause and effect loop. You don't know which is the cause and which is the effect because they both affect each other.
Yes.
So anything that assumes importance causes importance. So if somebody is nice to you, you permit them to do nice things for you or treat you well, then they will look up to you and vice versa.
Nice,
right?
and it is a cause-effect loop. That's excellent.
Yes.
So how are we doing for time here, buddy?
I think we can go for about another 5 minutes max because we have to record video after this. There are a few other we should jump to that are important.
Jump down to always be learning, because I think that is such a great one.
Yeah, I don't even think that needs much expansion, but
I think it does.
Always be learning is simply that. You are a project in your own life. In fact, you taught me, Mike, always be your own personal biggest project. Or so, what's the line?
Make yourself your number one project.
Make yourself your number one project.
Yeah.
What is it that you're building right now in your life?
Right.
Because if you're setting yourself goals and you've answered the question, what is important to me? And remember, we said it's probably not just money. So what is it that you need to do? What is it that you want to learn? What is it that you want to experience? Who is it that you want to hang around? Always be learning how to get those things done.
Now, interestingly, I think we should interject here that always be learning. I think that's really kind of, it can be too narrow if you're not careful. You know the whole metaphor, Chris, of the old lumberjack and the young lumberjack.
Oh,
They have a
and the sharpening of the axe.
Yeah, and the guy, he's taking breaks, and the young one's chopping away, and at the end, the old one has felled twice as many trees as him, and he said, when I stopped and took breaks, that's when I was sharpening the saw, okay? Or the axe, whichever version of it is. A friend of mine told that to a guy at work who was just working himself, frantic. And later on, he saw the guy hustling and bustling at work. He said, oh, what's up today? And he said, oh, just sharpening the saw. He totally got it backwards. He thought sharpening the saw was working harder. It was a narrower focus.
Yeah.
If you put all your learning focus only on your job, then guess what? Your job becomes your life. And I always say, your job, your career is a great thing, but it's a means to your life. The life is the end value. It shouldn't become your life. It shouldn't be your freaking identity. So when you're learning, make sure it's not just, I read 15 business books this year. Like, what about other things? What about art and culture and literature?
What is your target state? What do you want? You answer that first. Then learn. Learning is basically resource building.
Yeah, so you want to learn in a consummate way. You want to make sure that you're not wasting time. Like so many people, Crystal, hand me a book, read this. Guys, I have a finite amount of time left. We all do. I'm not going to get through. Don't worry, I'm not saying I'm sick.
You're going to read the books you want to read.
That's right.
Not the ones someone tells you should.
I want to get through the ones I want to get through. And some I'm going to reread because they're that good. But the whole thing of learning is learn broad base. Have a broad base schema. The broader the base, the taller the tower you can build. Learn stuff outside your field. When I did Professor, what the heck is his name? I'll get it. His course in quantum mechanics. I found that fascinating. It has nothing what
You're never going to go get a job in quantum
no,
mechanics.
But to do
it's
24 university lectures in quantum mechanics, it's great because then someone says, well, in quantum health, it means, I said, no, you're misusing the term. No physicist calls quantum anything to do with your health. It's misunderstanding physics.
Yeah. If I had learned this from you
people.
10 years earlier, I think I'd be better off right now. Because remember when I said in my 20s, what did I spend all my time learning about? Investing and money. That was my sole focus. And what we're saying is expand beyond that. Always be learning on all of the things that interest you in your life. And if you only have one narrow focus, your life will be less fulfilling.
Exactly. And learn some stuff that you maybe haven't thought of that will be useful. I mean, take a first aid course.
Absolutely.
Red Cross first aid course. Learn CPR, learn these tools, these life tools. Take a self-defense course, especially if you're a woman, something that actually works. And there's so many things. Why don't you close it with this one, Chris? Because I like this. Schedule time to improve.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then, there's so much more that we could go into.
Well, we're going to do a second
podcast. Might do a
podcast.
second part
We
on
will.
this. Okay, so we'll commit to 140. Will be more on this because there's lots of stuff here that we can talk about. Schedule time to improve. If you're going to always be learning and you're going to be focusing on the things that matter to you, you've got to put it in your calendar. Now, around 2016, I believe just over, it was about 3 years ago, wasn't it?
I think so.
Sometime late in the year 2016, I decided that I had had enough of skipping workouts because here would be my typical morning routine. Get up, get the kids off to school, grab a cup of coffee, come down to the home office here, and around 9 a.m. typically start working on the Mike Mandel Hypnosis stuff. And then take a lunch break, whatever, and then by about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, what would often happen is I would notice I got distracted by things that weren't truly that important in the business. And so I didn't accomplish all the things that I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I guess I won't work out today because I have to catch up on my work. I have to get all the things done that I really want to get done. And at that moment, I realized I need to switch around the order of operations. The biggest hole in my boat, to use the metaphor of, your ship is leaking and it's going to sink if you don't fix the biggest hole in your boat, was that I really wanted to get in much better shape.
Yeah.
I better do that first. I better put that before business because business was going just fine. And I had already concluded that, if we were to grow the business tremendously from that point, which I'd still love to do, but it wouldn't make that much of a difference in my life, right? It won't make my life way better compared to having insanely awesome health and fitness. So I decided 9 o'clock, I'm dropping my kids off at school. I'm going to take them to school myself now because then I'm in the car and I'm driving to the gym and I'm doing my workouts. And I started doing gymnastic strength training.
You were already
And
super
I love
fit,
it.
and you've transformed yourself. I call you Spider-Man because you freaking look like
It's a
him
lot
now.
of fun. I really
Bastard.
enjoy it, but I put it first.
Well, this is a
and
really
it's
good way to end it. We'll go to the
scheduled.
empowering question because what you're saying is to front end load the
Yes.
important stuff.
Yes.
And I tell people to do that with decisions they're afraid. If they got to make a call to someone they don't want to do, all the stuff will fester. Front end load the difficult stuff. Get it out of the way. And then
Yeah.
have fun.
Yeah.
When I get home today, I'm going to go to the bank, put that nice check in that you gave me. I'm going to be going to a restaurant with you for lunch. We're going to record this afternoon. But then you know what I'm going to do, Chris? I'm going to play world-class backgammon with people around the world.
This idea of front-end loading, it really makes me feel horrible that I didn't bring this up earlier in the podcast. I should have done it right at the beginning.
How depressed are you on a scale of 8 to 10?
Yeah. No.
Oh,
Okay, I've hired you back.
I'm going to give the
you back.
empowering questions of the day.
All right.
And they are, what am I excited about transforming in my life? And how will I implement the necessary changes today? Which of these points has really spoken to me? And how will I answer what it has said?
I love it.
Excellent, man.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Brain Software Podcast. This has been episode 139.
Hurrah!
I'm Chris Thompson, and with me here has been Mike Mandel. Hope you loved it. Visit our website, MikeMandelHypnosis.com. Check out the events page, MikeMandelHypnosis.com/events, because you too can come to the Toronto Hypnotic World Epicenter in April 20th through 24th for 5 days of instrumental change in hypnosis. And stick around for the weekend, the 25th and 26th, with Bob Burns, and it's going to be
A blast.
awesome.
Thanks again.
And good night.
Hey, Chris, I got a weird ending of the podcast for you.
Uh-oh.
Wise men say, excuse me, you know they always say, excuse me, but I can't help saying excuse me to you.
Okay. We're out of here.